What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of the MEAC More here on the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. I am your host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. Midpoint of the week, we're just about ready for week 10 of HBCU football action. Of course, tomorrow night, Thursday night at Lincoln Financial Field, the weekend kicks off with Delaware State versus Norfolk State. Of course, I'm wearing my Hornet shirt today. Not going to be able to wear it tomorrow because I will be in the press box at Lincoln Financial Field. Yes, my press credential was approved to cover this particular ball game. So I'm very excited for that, even though I have to rent a car to go up there because my car is not going to make it to Philly. So I had to go get a rental car, but I'm going to be in action covering that game. So I can't wear this shirt. So I'm wearing it today. So if this is your, all right, y'all already know what the program is. I don't know why I started introducing this like I do my personal podcast, but before we do get underway, do want to share that the MEAC More is brought to you by Rock Solid Contracting and Development out of Wilmington, Delaware. Rock Solid Contracting and Development handles all your construction, demolition, and remediation needs. Based out of Wilmington, Delaware, owned and operated by a Delaware State alum, Mr. Storm and Norman Oliver, who was so gracious to sponsor this program throughout the duration of the school year. And we thank Storm and the Rock Solid family for all of their support. If you guys want to go get yourself some construction done, or you know any projects that need, some help that's run by a Black-owned business and an HBCU grad, check out rocksolidworks.net. I'm going to do my best, Lionel. I mean, I haven't had a chance to talk my stuff in a long time, but to be fair, I'm going to give everybody some shine on this particular episode, as I always do, which leads me to our usual segment of the week. Not that, but this. The MEAC More money players for week 9 in HBCU football. And of course, the saying goes, if I can stop tripping over myself, more money for their teammates and more problems for the opponents. This week, we have South Carolina State grad quarterback William Atkins IV. He put on a show at Norfolk State's homecoming. He was the headline in that. 24 of 36, 428 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, as South Carolina State won their MEAC opener 50-21 over Norfolk State. Mr. Atkins was also named MEAC Offensive Player of the Week and Stats Perform HBCU Player of the Week. So pretty good week for the guy who probably is now going forward, I would assume, the starting quarterback of South Carolina State. He wasn't alone in the MEAC honors this week. Jordan Dollard, a sophomore edge rusher from South Carolina State. Remember when they just used to call those guys defensive ends or outside linebackers? I guess edge is just simpler terminology. Go figure. Anyway, Mr. Dollard had himself a day. 6 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and earned MEAC Defensive Player of the Week. Next up on our list, and probably the most impressive performance of the week, comes from Elijah Kennedy of North Carolina A&T. He tied a school record with a 96-yard punt return for a touchdown, and then he topped that with the game-winning 85-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter with 1:41 to go to help North Carolina A&T win their second game of the year, defeating Campbell 28-24. Mr. Kennedy earned CAA Special Teams Player of the Week and Stats Perform National Special Teams Player of the Week. So big ups to Elijah Kennedy and the North Carolina A&T Aggies for starting to right that ship a little bit. We'll talk more about them in a minute. Next up is Marquise Gillis, grad student running back from the Delaware State University. 21 carries, 108 yards, another 100-yard day for him. What else is new? And 2 fourth-quarter rushing touchdowns to help Delaware State in their biggest win in God knows how long, defeating North Carolina Central 35-26 for their first MEAC win in 3 years and their first win in Durham since 1977. That's a long time. That's before I was even born. And we got one more Hornet to big up before we move on to the rest of the show. And Najee Lally, senior receiver who's had his struggles this year, but came up big Saturday against Central. 5 catches, 124 yards, including a 72-yard touchdown, to start the third quarter, and 3 receiving touchdowns to help the Hornets in their, once again, 35-26 win over North Carolina Central. So this was the graphic that I chose for the beginning, and our senior editor, Kendrick Marshall, decided to put his skills to the test, and I like my version better because if you guys are not familiar, the Hornet is obscuring Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the gentleman going over the railing is Vince McMahon. Of course, if you're a WWE fan, you know all about the Austin McMahon rivalry. And, of course, the McMahon's face is obscured by the North Carolina Central Eagle logo. I know I had to explain it, but whatever. There's a new sheriff in town in MEAC football, and I can tell you, after watching this team for so long. I mean, my first time watching Delaware State football team as an observer, as a journalist, was in 2002. So I've seen this football team. Most of who's undercover with it. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm having a grand old time. And I mean, I'm gonna put my professional hat on tomorrow though. I gotta mask it when I go up to the link tomorrow. But overall, this was a pretty significant win for Delaware State football, and I will tell you why. I'm going to come off side screen to do so. All of the times that this Delaware State football team has struggled since Al Levan, the late Al Levan, was kind of pushed out as head coach a few years ago. Probably when was the Big Stingers last year? I want to say might have been 2010, 2011, 2010. It was 2010. And he was the last MEAC coach. He was the last coach to win a MEAC championship for Delaware State in football. And he sort of, I don't know if he ever put a curse on this program, but they have not been any good since Al Levan left. I mean, they had one winning season under Kermit Blunt, and after that, there was a dude named Kenny Carter who literally was just so full of himself that he thought he could just be a D1 a FBS coordinator coming and say, "Oh, we're gonna, I'm just gonna whip these guys into shape," and he won 3 games in 3 years. Then they turned to Rod Milstead, who I thought deserved more of a fair chance. I mean, that team was rolling in 2022 until COVID, got a hold of the team, and that was it. But they moved on from him. Then it was Lee Hull. Again, Lee Hull, nice gentleman. Don't have a bad word to say about him as a person, but he was probably just the wrong person for this job. And in comes Deshaun Jackson. And he has this team playing the best ball since the Al Levan era. We're talking 5-3 right now. Last time DSU had a record that good was last time they won the MEAC. Their last MEAC win was in 2022 at South Carolina State. Again, they hadn't won at Central since October 15, 1977. I do believe, I want to say Serpentine Fire by Earth, Wind & Fire was the number 1 R&B song in the country at the time. And, Maurice White and his religious, spiritual proclivities, when I found out what that song was about, by the way, just off the beaten path, when I found out what Serpentine Fire was about, I was like, Maurice was a different cat. But it makes sense. Once you listen to it and then you get the meaning of the song, it's like, yeah, but I think that was the number 1 R&B song in the country the last time DSU beat North Carolina Central at home. So this was a big win for Delaware State overall. Tomorrow night is going to be huge, even though it's going to be rainy. They're talking like 1 inch or 2 inches of rain, and Delaware State's already seen the rainstorm. I mean, we saw what happened with Albany, so not too much to discuss there. But hopefully they just don't forget that they got to play a football game, because even though Norfolk State has lost 6 straight, it's not like they've gotten their butts kicked in every single one of them. This last one, yeah, because South Carolina State, I told Chennis Berry in the MEAC coaches call on Monday, I said, y'all are like Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, as it stands, South Carolina State is still the man in the MEAC by far. Shout out to Ryan Bunn, a Central grad. Congratulations, Chris and Del State. Y'all played a good game. My Central Eagles did not. You know what's funny? I want to talk about something really, really quickly before I move on to the rest of this to the rest of the slate. After Marquise Gillis went ahead for the go-ahead touchdown, they were still down 28-24, and they got a good kickoff return, by the way. Central got a really good kickoff return from number 11. I forgot his name off the rip, and I apologize to that young man. But he got him out to about midfield. And for some strange reason, because Walker Harris had thrown for about 300 yards up to that point, Central didn't pass the ball on 1 down. I was like, why y'all not passing? We got the worst pass defense in the country. Why you not passing? What's going on? For some strange reason, they tried to establish the run at the wrong possible time, because the DSU run defense was stout up until that point. So I don't know why. I mean, I'm not in the business of questioning Trey Oliver or Matt Leone by any means. Those guys have forgotten more football than I probably will ever know. So I'm not going to sit here and just, beat those guys over the head like, why didn't y'all pass the ball? But I was really shocked that they didn't pass the ball after Gillis went ahead for that first touchdown. But the beautiful thing about the MEAC is it's not over yet. It's not. Don't let anybody tell you any different. I mean, I'm glad Delaware State actually won a MEAC game, but they still got to win 4 more before I can feel comfortable about even talking about Atlanta. And just to think that Norfolk State, as bad as they have looked, have only really gotten their doors blown off maybe once or twice. That's not going to be an easy win. Everybody's forecasting an easy win, but it's not going to be an easy win if Delaware State is able to pull it off tomorrow. I think what probably will help is the elements, because Delaware State doesn't pass that much anyway. I mean, 300 yards per game on the ground speaks for itself. So it won't be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It'll be 3 yards in mud flying up. So if DSU can keep Otto Coons and that Norfolk State offense off the field, they have a better chance of winning. So happy doesn't begin to describe it, KD. Yeah, Steven, man, I'm just happy to be here. Still, as Jadakiss used to say, still just happy to be here, you know. Shouts out to Stutter and Noob for checking in. But yeah, this MEAC race isn't over. Not by a long shot. I still think that, I mean, Howard proved that they have a lot of guts. Howard proved that they got a lot of guts, because they fell behind in the second half again against Morgan State for homecoming. And you figure that it's starting to become the witching hour for this Howard football team, because they had lost 3 in a row coming into homecoming. And then they were falling behind. And it's like, maybe this Howard team just ain't got the juice. All of a sudden, they rally, tie the game, forced a missed field goal in overtime. And Anthony Reagan Jr., all he needed was one run. He said, we're not doing this second down, third down, fourth down stuff. Give me the ball. 25 yards to the house. Happy homecoming, Howard. So the Bison are still tough. And I don't think we've heard the last of North Carolina Central by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't. Like, if you had to make me pick November 14th, I still think I would take them at this moment over South Carolina State. I would. But we got 3 more weeks of football until we can get to that point. Well, 2 actually. So there's a lot left on the line, but as a Delaware State alum, to see this football team actually looking like a competent and competitive football team, that's, hey man, just, it's a blessing. But there's a lot more left on the table. And I think what probably scares me the most about South Carolina State is that they finally figured out that Billy Atkins is the better quarterback at this particular point in time. And that's nothing against Ryan Stubblefield, because he filled in admirably when Eric Phoenix went down last year. I forgot Eric Phoenix's name that quick. How could I forget the year Eric Phoenix had last year? My God, why he didn't get a pro look is a mystery to me. But you know, Ryan Stubblefield filled in admirably last year, but Billy Atkins, like, that dude is the real deal. He's a big enough quarterback. He's got a live arm. He can move, and he made Norfolk State look like children last Saturday. So I think Chennis Berry realizes that Billy Atkins is his best quarterback at this point in time. So if they're going to run with him, South Carolina State still has a lot of talent. They still got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball too. So this isn't over. This is not over. But I'm happy to see that Delaware State is at least in the conversation. We might talk about that on Friday, because we're definitely going to have to talk about everything that went on with the Las Vegas Classic. Oh man, what a whew. By the way, prayers up to Xavier T-Set and Jacoby Morgan. Both starting quarterbacks were injured in the Vegas Classic, and it wasn't anything to do with the field. I mean, it was just some hard hitting swack them in the mouth football. I mean, it happens. Football is a game where you get hurt or you get hit. If you don't want to get hit, don't play football. It's like Walter Mosley says about writing. Your first drafts are going to suck. But if you go into it like a boxer who doesn't want to get punched, you shouldn't be boxing. So that's the feeling. I mean, if you don't want to get hit, don't play football. If you don't want to get hit, don't be a boxer. But hopefully Morgan's all right. T-Set's all right. And Alabama State right now, if they were able to beat Jackson State, I would probably say they're the absolute favorite to win the Celebration Bowl. But you still have to figure out that Jackson State has a very, shall we say, generous schedule the rest of the way. They haven't played Valley yet. That's a win. They should be able to beat Florida A&M. They should be able to beat Alcorn State. Bethune might give them a little bit of trouble because Bethune-Cookman under Ray Woody Jr. has been playing some very, 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 very exciting football. And they're 4-4 right now. So that might be the one game if I'm Jackson State that gives me a little bit of agita, but the rest of that schedule is they should be able to walk through that. They should. But if they don't, Alabama State will gladly take that bit of serendipity and go to the SWAC championship game and maybe the Celebration Bowl. But back to the MEAC side. Oh, we need to talk about A&T. We need to talk about A&T because A&T has gotten the brunt of the jokes the last few years because people were just so aghast that, number one, they left the MEAC. Then they left what was left of the Big South to go to the Coastal. And everyone's like, for A&T and Hampton both, we don't care. They're not HBCUs. It's like, yes, they are. And I'm gonna root for them. Like, I root for A&T and Hampton to absolutely embarrass everybody in the Coastal, no matter the sport. I don't care if it's Quidditch, backgammon, field hockey, spades. Well, we know most of those schools in the Coastal don't know about no spades anyway. You ask a kid from Campbell or Elon or Maine what running to Boston is, they're talking about the Boston Marathon? No, that's not what we mean. But you get the picture. I root for Hampton and A&T in everything they do in the Coastal, without question. So that being said, the way A&T won that game against Campbell on Saturday is something that you can hang your hat on when you're building a program. Like, you're down 21-7 going into the fourth quarter. And then you have your return man having a Billy White Shoes Johnson type of day. You OGs know about Billy White Shoes. You know exactly what I'm saying. Punt return, kick return, everything but the funky chicken. Well, you couldn't do the funky chicken because he would have got a 15-yard penalty. But Elijah Kennedy had probably the most virtuoso performance of any black college football player last weekend. Like, he literally won the game with his feet. And that's another thing about football. You got to have speed out there. You can't just be plodding out there. You got to have somebody that can break one every once in a while. And this dude did it twice in the fourth quarter. Once on a punt, once on a kickoff. And Sean Gibbs, he'll never get the credit that he deserves for it, but this A&T team has already won more Coastal Athletic Association games in 1 year than they did in 2 under Vincent Brown. They already have the same amount of wins this year alone in the 2 years under Vincent Brown. So when I said Sean Gibbs is the guy for this job, I said it and meant it. Sean Gibbs is the right guy to turn around North Carolina A&T. And I think that I don't think they'll be 26 ready, but 27, look out. But big up to A&T for getting that one in. They needed that one badly, and they were able to get it. They got who they got left? They got Towson, Elon. I think they can beat Elon. I don't know about beating Towson though, because Towson's look pretty decent. But I don't know who else they have after that. I know they got one more game left outside of those two. But right now, A&T looks like a football team that is starting to right the ship. And Sean Gibbs and those players deserve a lot of credit for not hanging their heads, because they were only, if you take out the Central game, because that Central game was basically Trey Oliver just whooping they behind out of spite. That's just who Trey Oliver is. So, and the Central Florida game, because Central Florida would have did that to any HBCU. And yes, I'm including Jackson. Yes, I'm including Delaware State. Yes, I'm including Alabama State. Central Florida would have beat the tails off anybody. So we don't need to, we can throw that game out. The Central game, that was just Trey Oliver being Trey Oliver. And I don't mean that with any, I mean that as a compliment, by the way. So A&T deserves a lot of credit for just fighting through adversity, getting themselves back on the right track. And again, in the future, that's a team to look out for. You missed it, Bridges. I dedicated the first 10 minutes to Delaware State. I mean, I could do more, but I have to cover everything. That's why this is called the MEAC More. I got to cover everybody. But I'll probably be back, because Thursday I'll be at the link covering the game for HBCU Sports, and then probably Friday afternoon we'll hop back on the air and talk about it. So This won't be the last we talk about Delaware State this week. Not by any stretch of imagination. But I have to be fair and balanced. That's the trait of a good journalist. That kind of seems to be forgotten these days. Because if you notice, everything that 45 does is met with a shrug of the shoulders from the quote unquote fourth estate. And the national media has been bought and paid for, folks. So if you're expecting to hear anything about this dude's cognitive decline, which is actually happening, we all know somebody that is sundowning or has sundown, and he's sundowning. Make no mistake about it. And you talk, I mean, whatever else, you're not going to get it from the mainstream media. So don't hold your breath. But as a journalist here, I have to be fair and balanced to everybody in the conference. I can't just, come on here and talk Delaware State for an hour at a time, because who would want to hear that anyway? And I'm a Delaware State alum. Nobody came here for me to talk about Delaware State for an hour. I'm the old gray lady, and I had great black professors. Make no mistake about it. As Getty Hagos at Delaware State, Dr. Wendell Gorham, God rest his soul, Dwayne Wickham, one of the greatest black columnists of all time, one of the co-founders of NABJ. Those were my professors. I learned from some greats. So when you hear me complaining about the state of mainstream media, it's because I was taught by legends, okay? Elite, top-level journalists, top flight. Shout out Mike Epps. I was taught by the best. So you're going to hear me complain a lot about a lot of stuff. The clickbait, the headlines, all of this other stuff. It's like, dude, this ain't what I grew up in. When I took my first journalism class at the age of 20, I was like enthralled and swore to protect this thing with my life. And I still do. So that's why when I get on here, I try to give you guys the brass facts. I mean, yeah, my personality tends to shine through. That was something that my therapist was like getting to me one time. She's like, you need to let more of your personality shine through, because you're hilarious. And I'm like, oh, stop. I'm a geek. But then at the same time, it's like, y'all be in here laughing, y'all be in here debating, engaging. So I was like, well, maybe she has a point. So, but yeah, bottom line is, when you come here, HBCU sports, we're gonna give you the real. We have our opinions, but we're gonna give you the facts as well. Shouts out to Adam Spencer and his Pirates. Did you check out the interview I did with Coach Thomas? Let me know what you think. But yeah, the MEAC, it's not over yet. I'm excited that Delaware State is actually in consideration for this thing, but there are too many trap games left. Every MEAC game is a trap game. Let's make that abundantly clear, because I don't trust Norfolk State to just roll over. I think Morgan State, I think what Damon Wilson finally, is going to do is let this young quarterback, Ray Moore III, do his thing. And I think that's the best bet, because the kid's a redshirt freshman. And I'm a person who always has believed, even though I stopped playing competitive sports 27 years ago. My last year of high school football was my senior year, 1998. So I've been an observer for most of this time. I'm not an athlete. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you guys any of my old war stories from football. I sucked. I barely got on the field my senior year as a defensive lineman. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all about my athletic credentials, because I have none. But what I've always believed in is that you play your best players regardless of age. There shouldn't be a seniority. There shouldn't be a tenure in place if somebody younger is better. I don't care if they're a freshman. I don't care if they're a sophomore. If they're outperforming juniors and seniors, you put their behinds on the floor and on the field and on the court. Period. I do not agree with experience always being the best teacher, because there are a lot of experienced athletes out here who are just not very good, college and professional. Some do. For God's sakes, I found out DeAndre Jordan was still playing in the NBA last night. And that dude still can't make a free throw. But he's there because he's 7 foot tall. Sometimes you just stick around for certain reasons. But if you have a younger player or a younger nucleus that could benefit from that experience and can only help your program and your team grow, you throw them out there. I've always been a firm believer in that. So I hope Coach Wilson will let Ray Moore rock the rest of the season, because, I mean, this kid peeled off an 81-yard RPO touchdown against Howard. Like, and it wasn't even close. Like, after he got past the first wall, everybody else was just like in a blur in the dust. Like, he took off running, and I was like, oh, okay. So, Damon Wilson's found himself a quarterback now. That's something that we complained about Morgan State for God knows how long. If only Morgan State had an offense. Well, now they got a quarterback. This guy put more talent around. So I don't think Morgan State's going to lie down. Howard proved that they are made of some strong stuff. And Central, again, it would not surprise me if North Carolina Central did beat South Carolina State November 14th. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. It's just not something that I'm going to put past a Trey Oliver coach team. Walker Harris is still there. I mean, he's still the quarterback as far as I know. Chris Mosley and A.J. Rogers are tremendous running backs. The receiving core, they have a great receiving core. At least 7 or 8 guys caught balls against Delaware State on Saturday. Well, then again, as bad as Delaware State's pass defense is, 7 or 8 guys on any college football team could catch a pass against them. That's one thing that I hope Coach Jackson and the crew go into this offseason with a laser focus on, is defensive backs. And I'm not insulting these young men at all. I'm just saying that you need some more depth in your defensive backfield if you're Delaware State. And that's why I'm not sold completely on this team winning the MEAC yet. Because granted, if they get past Otto Kuhn's, fine. If they get past Ray Moore III, cool. If they get past Tyreek Starks, even better. But Billy Atkins the fourth or Ryan Stubblefield is waiting on the last day of the season, November 22nd at Alumni Stadium. So this pass defense has a lot to figure out in a short time period. So that's why I'm not really, I'm excited. But I have not booked anything for Atlanta yet. And I probably won't do so until they actually clinch this thing. That's just how I operate. I'm a Libra, but I'm a Virgo-esque Libra. My birthday, my mom tells me that, my mom jokes about this all the time. You didn't want to be my sign because my mom's birthday is September 3rd. And her due date for me was September 14th. I didn't come popping out until September 25th. But I'm a Virgo by trait that I'm a perfectionist. Like, I need everything in a row. I need everything lined up. So until Delaware State actually clinches the MEAC, don't come around here asking me, hey, Chris, are you going to Atlanta? I don't know yet. Ask me November 23rd. Then I have an answer for you. But just overall, it's been a fun season so far. And this weekend's games are just as important. Of course, Norfolk State and Delaware State tomorrow. And then Morgan State goes to South Carolina State. The last time Morgan State was in Orangeburg, they won. So I'm sure Chennis Berry's guys have their antennas up for that one. And then, of course, North Carolina Central goes to Howard. So I'm very interested to see how Central rebounds after such a devastating loss. Because that was a game, yeah, Dave, you did tell me, man. I said it on Twitter. Crow doesn't taste as good as the Delaware State homecoming fish sandwich, but I'll take a bite of crow anyway. Delaware State, my alma mater, they proved me wrong, and I'm glad they did. Because I thought Central was going to either win this one in a close one or just absolutely zoom by Delaware State, and neither happened. And it was just, I kept watching that game like I'm just waiting for something. I'm just waiting for a bad bounce to go against Delaware State, and it never happened. So maybe this is a new era. I ain't gonna complain about it. Lionel says, I'm wondering if the coach wants to play zone for pass defense. Extremely anal, retentive traits. I can't answer that because I don't really hang out, with Delaware State's coaching staff like that. So I don't know what their, P's and Q's are in that regard. But I think what the problem is that this is just a area that they didn't have enough time to shore up. Because when Jack got there, that was their main focus was offense, because Delaware State offense has been, dare I say, putrid in recent years. So their thing was, we need to get some dudes who can score the ball. And they went and got James Jones from Louisiana Lafayette, even though he's a Baltimore kid. They got Caden Bennett from Sacramento State to be the quarterback. And Caden Bennett deserves a lot of credit because he threw the ball extremely well on Saturday. And everyone's like, "Oh wow, he's a run first quarterback. He's not going to be able to throw the ball." Well, he threw for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. Can't pin that on him. So, I mean, Caden Bennett has played tremendously this year. Any other year where there's not a Walker Harris who's on pace to throw for 3,000 yards and about 25, 30 touchdowns, Caden Bennett would probably be the front runner for MEAC Offensive Player of the Year. But Walker Harris is having a superb year. Like, I think he deserves a look. I mean, I'm not saying he should be drafted, but I'm saying he should be in an NFL camp somewhere come May. I mean, he's a smart kid. He knows how to pick apart a defense. He can tuck and run, and he's been the best quarterback in the MEAC by a mile. It's between him and Andrew Body and Isaiah Knowles from Albany State as the top 3 quarterbacks in Black college football. Those are my 3. You may feel differently, but I think Walker Harris is great. I think Chris Mosley is a tremendous running back. AJ Rogers as the Thunder to that Thunder and Lightning thing. So Central's not out of it by any stretch. Not at all. Ryan Bunn says Central will be fine. Trey will have the guys focused, and I need to put 50 on Howard again. I think that's going to be another one of those dogfight games. Like, I could see either side winning like 44-38 or something like that. This is a game where Howard, one of my favorite Richard Pryor jokes is when he said Joe Frazier would not lay down for Muhammad Ali. And he's like, Ali's talking to the referee like, say, can you get this MF off me? That's how Howard treats North Carolina Central. Larry Scott will not lay down for Trey Oliver. So don't expect Central to go in there and just win this game by 4 or 5 scores. That's not going to happen. Not a chance. Howard, for some strange reason, just clicks into another gear when they see that maroon and silver. Or is it burgundy and silver? I'm colorblind. Y'all going to let me know. I think it's maroon and silver. But yeah, whenever Howard sees that maroon and silver, they got the blinders on. It's time for beat down city. It's time for a fight. Dave says Morgan is like A&T where they keep beating themselves. That game against South Carolina State will be closer to most things. Oh yeah. Like Damon Wilson, that's why I don't buy any of this crap that people come in here sometimes saying, oh, he needs to be on the hot seat. For what? Morgan State hasn't been any good in 50 years. That ain't got nothing to do with Damon Wilson. That's like blaming somebody who just bought a restaurant from a dude who can't cook. You gotta give him time to get the menu right. You gotta give him time to get the right kind of cooks, the right ambiance. I mean, you can't just turn over a greasy spoon to a Michelin chef and expect to change right away. I'm greedy. I'm sorry. Food. The things I love to talk about more than sports are food and music. That's just how I'm built. So, I just can't put this on Damon Wilson right now. But I still think Morgan is a team that everybody should just sort of be on the lookout for. Okay, maroon and gray. Thanks, Ryan. I knew I had one of them wrong. I just couldn't figure out which one. But yeah, whenever Howard sees that maroon and gray, buddy, they're ready for war. So I think there's not a game on the schedule this week in the MEAC that screams beatdown. Either one. And I'm seeing Delaware State people saying, oh, we're going to score 50 on Norfolk State. You sure about that? And I mean, granted, we've had some really good offensive games. The worst offensive game we've had was against UD, and we scored 17. We probably should have scored 30 against Delaware. But every other game we've had this year has been 30 plus or more. So I'm not saying our offense can't do it. I'm just saying I'm not ready to count out Michael Vick against one of his old teammates. That's just not something you're going to get me to do right now. And yeah, Lionel, the right ingredients are crucial. You need the right pinch of this. You need the right, dose of that. It's not easy. But I don't think this MEAC, again, I just don't think this MEAC thing is settled. I'm not ready to call the game. I'm not ready to call the election yet. Who's that dude on Twitter whenever they have an election and he says, I've seen enough? I'm not going to say I've seen enough yet for Delaware State or South Carolina State. That is not what I'm going to say right now. There's just too much football left to be played. Too much football left to be played. Zach McKinnell says Vic might be counting himself out right now. I hope not. I hope not. Because granted, it's not like they were going to be that much better under Dawson Odums, with all due respect. So it's not like he was handed the keys to, a 62 Corvette. He got a Ford Falcon at this point in time with Norfolk State football. He's got to find a way to make that Falcon at least palatable for the old folks car shows, Cars and Coffee, until he can get the parts that he needs for a Mustang. That's another thing I like talking about: cars, music, food. There you go. That's Chris Stevens in a nutshell. But when will Norfolk get a D1 win? I don't know. I do not know. Because Delaware State should win this game, but I don't think they can beat Morgan. I don't think they'll beat Central. And I don't know if they can beat Howard. So it might be a point where Mike Vick might have to wait until next fall for that first D1 win. And that would suck. But again, Rome wasn't built in a day. I think what people really get confused when they compare what Deshaun Jackson is doing to what Michael Vick is doing is that Delaware State has had at least some history, recent history of football success. Norfolk State, you have to go back 40 years to the CIAA when they were a consistent contender. So Mike Vick is working against a lot of history. It's not just the fact that Jackson has been able to build this team up quickly, because I think what it is that Delaware State football alums were so tired of losing. Like, I know a few Delaware State alums. I mean, because I am one. And they're just like, we are tired of losing. We are tired of losing. So we're going to put whatever it takes behind this football program to get us back on the winning track. So that's why he's been able to hire Clinton Portis as a running backs coach, Eugene Chung as a running backs coach, Nemo Washington, who is a star in the making. He may not be Delaware State's next head football coach, which kind of scares me, because I want to shout out Stephen J. Gaither of WSSU Ram Nation and HBCU Game Day. Steve, you think you're slick. I heard you on the MEAC call Monday asking Deshaun about Nemo Washington. I see what you're doing. You can't fool me. You ain't saying nothing slick to a quarter oil, buddy. I'm very familiar with your game, but I get it. Nemo Washington is going to be a name in demand this winter. Make no mistake about it. For all kinds of head coaching positions in the HBCU realm, because there are probably going to be there might be a D1 opening here or there. I don't think there'll be any MEAC openings, but I think Florida A&M may move on from Colsey. Fred McNair is the interim head coach at Southern right now, but Southern might want to. We had Reggie Flood on the show last Friday, and Reggie Flood gave us a wealth of information. So Southern's probably going to be opening. Alcorn State's probably going to be open. And I probably think that Winston-Salem State is obviously going to be open too at the D2 level. But outside of that, Nemo Washington is going to be a name in demand. He's a young coach. He's a Bill Walsh fellow. He coached with the Cleveland Browns. He had one of the top Division II offenses at Wheeling University in West Virginia. And he just turned out to be the right hire for Deshaun Jackson as an offensive coordinator, because he just has so many schemes, so many plays, so many things, and just it seems like he's pressing the right buttons at all the right times. Case in point, It's fourth quarter. Delaware State's up 28-24. It's third and I want to say 2 or 3. Around their own 35-yard line. And I'm thinking that everybody in O'Kelly Riddick thinking this is a run. This is absolutely a run. So instead it's a run pass option, and EJ Core, the backup tight end, leaks out, and Bennett just tosses this snowflake that Core catches and takes 50 yards down the field. And that led to Marquise Gillis' second touchdown. That is a genius play call because everybody in the park is expecting a run, and then you throw that little tight end out dig route, and it gave DSU the edge they needed to come out with the win. Adam Spencer said Aaron Sparrow was a quarterback for the Beholders. Then they played on 8. Oh, wow. I did not know Dick Price Stadium was that young. Jeez Louise. Learn something new every day. Dave brings up a good point. Deshaun is actually coach too. Yeah. He was an offensive coordinator under his right-hand man, Travis Clark, at Long Beach Poly. So he's had some coaching experience. Not a lot, but some. Yeah, this is Mike Vick's first time as a coach anywhere. So it's going to take Mike Vick some time to get his, like I said, he's got to get his kind of players before we can start, making assessments of his coaching ability. And this year is just not the year. Lionel Williams says the big question is what kind of recruiting year is he going to have, and how many homes can he get in to win the living rooms? If we're talking about Mike Vick, it's Mike Vick. He's going to be able to get into some living rooms. Absolutely. He's going to be able to, I mean, just listen to him on a conference call. I mean, it's clear that he can engage with people. Like he's frustrated as all get out that he's losing, but he answers every media question, with personality, with honesty, with truth and fullness. So I think Mike Vick can absolutely get into some living rooms. He's gonna be able to talk to some young men's parents and let them know that the Mike Vick that you knew, and I don't even think the Mike Vick that we knew during the problems is the same person. I don't even think he was a bad person then. He just got caught up in some bad stuff. It's like my mother always says, everybody can't go with you. Everybody can't go with you. And that's a decision. That's the situation that Mike had to learn the hard way. Coach Vick had to learn the hard way, unfortunately. Everybody can't go with you. You got to leave some people behind. It is what it is. But he learned his lesson. He paid his debt to society, came back, had a great run with the Eagles, has been a great analyst, and he really cares about, the state of Norfolk State football program. So I'm rooting for Michael Vick. Make no mistake about it. I just don't know if it's going to happen this year. Next year, we should probably, expect some improvement. But this year, this is just him getting his feet wet and understanding what it means to be a college football coach. Short of that, hey, just hope nobody else gets hurt. Keep you guys healthy. The young players, they're going to learn from this experience, and they'll come back better in 2026. That's all you can ask for at this point. Shouts out to A&T Roy, head blacks in charge. Glad y'all kicked NCCU's ass. And Ryan counters. Did Central be 18? Woo, Lord. I tell you what, man. When that game goes to what's the name of that stadium in Charlotte? Is it Bank of America Stadium still? Because I know they play in Charlotte in 2027. That game is going to be fun. That game is going to be a lot of fun. Central and the A&T, the Aggie Eagle Classic in Charlotte. That one is going to be, as Don Cornelius would say, a big and everybody show enough digging. That one is going to be fun in 2027. But for right now, A&T just has to get themselves on the right track. But I think they're on the right track. Which leads me to wonder if the Rattler contingent is having any buyer's remorse. Just wonder. Just asking a question. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just the messenger. All right, it is still Bank of America. Yeah. So yeah, Bank of America in 2027, August, A&T, Central, the blue and gold versus the maroon and silver. It's going to be fun. Lionel Williams says it's like when you listen to Al McGuire. Freshman becomes sophomore becomes yeah. You have to. There's a natural progression in growth. Should be anyway. If you are an athlete or a coach, you have to improve if you or your team is going to be any better. And I think that's probably, something else that just threw people off about this whole Delaware State resurgence is that this has happened so fast. Remember, at the beginning of the year, I said anywhere between 3 and 5 wins would be a successful season for Delaware State. Well, they're 5-3 right now. So we can go ahead and just call this a successful season. But if they end up with a winning record, it's better than expected. If they win the Celebration Bowl, then it's like, oh my God, we got to worry about people coming and looking for Jackson, man. Because I've already seen somebody on Twitter talking about UCLA should reach out to the hometown boy. And I'm like, you need to mind your business. Stay away from my head coach. Don't do it. Y'all got plenty of coaches out there in California. Stop it. Please. I would like to keep Coach Jack around for at least a couple of MEAC championships before y'all start trying to move him up. For crying out loud. Adam Spencer says Mike Vick on the recruiting trail has me sick. His alma mater, Warwick High, is about to finish second in the Peninsula District, and they've got 2 running backs. Hampton High as a quarterback. Yeah, man. Michael Vick in that area, shucks. He go walk to people's houses and just be like, "Hey, I'm Mike Vick." Well, I mean, hey, y'all already know who I am. Y'all already know who I'm coaching. We gonna make some noise in Norfolk State. You need to come on over. Come on over. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun because I did ask Trent Boykin, Hampton's football coach, about the potential specter of Mike Vick in recruiting wars. And Boykin didn't back down. He said, we are going to get the kind of players that we want, period. So that's going to be a fun little recruiting battle between Hampton and Norfolk State. So you 757 folks, you Tidewater folks, you 7 Cities folks, grab your popcorn. It's going to be fun. Shouts out to Tiger Nation, the undefeated, checking in, saying the more successful he is, the more likely someone will try to school with DJ. Oh, I know. That's how it works. But I just don't want it to be this quick. But I know that in reality, if Delaware State wins the MEAC this year, that Deshaun Jackson is going to be getting phone calls left and right. He's probably getting phone calls now. Absolutely. I was really annoyed when I saw that person on Twitter talking about UCLA should reach out to Deshaun Jackson. I'm like, man, mind your business. But then I'm thinking at the same time, they probably already have. I'm sure they have. UNLV might. Fresno State might. Shucks, Cal might. I mean, he went to Cal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are the things this is life. This is life in the college sports realm in the 21st century. You got to strike while the iron is hot. Like, if you are a program that knows that you could benefit from not just a name, but a name who actually has the aptitude and the attitude to lead your program, you'd be a fool not to pursue him. You'd be just throwing money away if you didn't. So it's not. I mean, it's not gonna be a surprise to me if he find if one of these FBS schools on the West Coast say, "Hey, man, you want to come out here? We know you can recruit in Cali. Bring some of your Cali kids to this Pac. Well, the Pac-12 is gone. I don't even know what's out there. Is it the Mountain West? Is the Mountain West still a thing, people? Let me know. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Jack gets one of those calls at Delaware. Even if Delaware State finishes 8-4. It wouldn't surprise me if he got a call, because people are going to see that he turned around an absolute disaster of a football program and turned them into winners in 1 year. That is going to get a lot of attention. I know UCLA is in the Big Ten, but I forgot about what happened to the rest of the Pac-12. Because that was. I can't tell y'all how much I hate this new era of college football with this realignment crap. UD just played a football game on a freaking Wednesday. College football is Friday and Saturday territory only. I'm a firm believer in that. That's why I hate Thursday games. I'm not a fan. I'll tell you, I am not a fan of Thursday college football games. But now that we're starting to see teams play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it's like, I beg your freaking pardon. What? These kids got class. And I'm not just talking about the players. I'm talking about the band, the cheerleaders, the training staff, the sports information kids. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, being a student reporter, there was nothing worse than covering a MEAC doubleheader on a Monday night. And don't let ESPN be there. Don't let ESPN be there. Hold on. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. But yeah, that's one thing I don't miss about, being a student, is because there would be times when, but this is back when DSU basketball used to really be a hot ticket under Greg Jackson. There would be times when the women would play first at like 3:30, 3:45, 4 o'clock. And then you'd have to wait about 2 hours in between for a 8:30 tip-off on ESPN2 or ESPNU. I hated those days. I mean, because I literally knew whatever homework I had to get done, it was either going to get done Tuesday morning or wasn't going to get done at all. Maybe that's why I was at DSU for about 5.5 years. Go figure. But yeah, TV does rule all, as Lionel says. It's unfortunate, but I just wish that, we took into account what this stuff does to the kids. Because I mean, these student athletes are still students first. But yes, having to sit through that. Yeah, Brandon Cyrus knows what I'm talking about. And those games used to be so annoying. We literally would just be sitting around Memorial Hall, just like, okay, what do we do now? And then we, normally because if the DSU women went on like 3:34, Ed Davis had those girls playing such a defensive, quick game that the game would be over like just at 6 o'clock. So you'd have so I'd go, do my, my pool reporting, come back to the press table like 6:45, still got an hour. But then the ESPN folks start coming in with the lighting trucks and the big time cameras, and you'd have, shucks, who was on the call? Was Charlie working for them back then? I think Charlie Neal was working for ESPN back then. Yeah, Charlie Neal would come in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was I know his first name was Stan. I can't remember his last name. This is gonna bother me, but it would be Charlie Neal and a dude named Stan, who would come in and do the games. They would get ready, and being around Charlie Neal, man, is just like a godsend. He just had a birthday recently. Happy birthday, Mr. Charlie Neal, the voice of Black college athletics, one of the best, no, the best. Period. End of story. Yeah, just being around Charlie Neal was just like being around, a legend. And but sometimes still you'd be bored, man. Be like, what the hell? We can't start this game earlier. It's just like, oh my God. But yeah, TV has really had an effect, not just on professional sports, but college sports as well. I mean, I just worry about these kids, being tired and all of that other stuff. Yeah. Just very, very, it's not ideal. It's not sustainable, in my personal opinion. College football on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. It's not, because you're going to get kids hurt. You're going to get kids tired. You're going to get coaches not bringing their best stuff because they didn't have enough time to plan, even though the coaches will never accept that excuse. Well, we're football coaches. We can figure this out. You're going to forget something. I don't care. If you're rushed, you're going to forget something. Like, there have been times, like for me, I have glasses. I don't wear glasses on the air because I'm very nearsighted. And if I had my glasses on doing this show with you guys talking in front of this camera, I would give myself a headache. But I have to wear glasses every other day, every other point of the day. There have been times when I've been rushing and I get in the car and I put my car in drive, and then I remember, oh, wait, I can't see a damn thing. Let me go back inside and get these glasses. It's just human nature. if you're rushed, you're going to forget something. And that includes college football. I mean, if you are, or any college sport, if you're used to playing a game a certain day and that day has been moved up, yes, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Stan Luter. I couldn't remember his last name to save my life. But yeah, it was Charlie Neal and Stan Luter who would always be on the call for a Delaware State men's basketball game. Always. Always. Jerron Sutton says Stan was an assistant at North Carolina State in the 80s. That means he worked for Jim Valvano. Very interesting. But yeah, I just don't think that college sports as a week-long thing is sustainable. That is my personal opinion. You may feel differently, but these kids are eventually going to wear down. These coaches are eventually going to forget stuff. So it's like, at what point does the money stop being the end-all be-all? But we already know the answer, because I mean, this is the United States after all. This is capitalism after all. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. That's the way this world runs, unfortunately. But overall, looking forward to another great weekend of MEAC football. Once again, I will be at the link tomorrow. I had to rent a car to do that, by the way, because my car was not going to make it to Philly. Well, I can't wait to get rid of this hunk of junk in front of my house, bro. Cannot wait. But yeah, I had to rent a car to drive to Philly, which is literally 35, 40 minutes from my house. So, but yeah, I'll be at the link tomorrow, and then I will be back. I think we're gonna do a show on Friday. I know tomorrow, don't let me forget, the Better Than Less Than podcast with my HBCU sports colleague Jared Hoffman. He's going to give you guys the latest and greatest on the CIAA chase, the SIAC chase, the NAIA football shenanigans. He's going to have all of that for you tomorrow. So be sure to come back to this very YouTube channel and check him out. You'll be glad you did. And then Friday, we're either going to do a swag page or another HBCU Sports Live. That I know for sure. So we've been on 4:00 Eastern time, 3 Central each of the last 3 weeks on Friday. So just carve that time out of your calendar. If you don't have a meeting at work, put a meeting on your calendar and just say, oh, I'm going over stuff with a coworker when you're really just watching us. They'll never be any wiser, because we all looking at our screens for work anyway. So just have us up on your screen and make sure you have one window that you can get to that is work related. If a supervisor or a coworker comes in, so you can quickly just swipe over to that window and say, yes, I'm still working on this. Still working on this. Yeah, I'll have it ready for you in a little bit. Don't worry about it. And then you can go back over that screen and come back and talk to us. As you can tell, I am one of the greatest work smarter, not harder people to ever exist. I don't like hard work unless it's something I want to do. This I enjoy doing. So this ain't even hard work. This is fun. But anytime I've had a regular job, it's been like, let me find a shortcut for this. I don't feel like doing this crap, man. I'm just gonna find a shortcut. That's just how I am. But thank you guys for tuning in. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. We've had a great day of talking MEAC football and other assorted points of interest. As I always do before I get up out of here, I'm going to promote my stuff outside of HBCU sports, because Ken Rashad has always said you have the right to do that. My music podcast. No, that ain't it. This is On the Groove Line. I talk all things music from the 70s and 80s, from funk, R&B, disco, hip hop, all of the good stuff in black music. You can check me out at the link on your screen. Be sure to subscribe to that channel. This week I've been talking about Luther Vandross. I've been talking about what else did I do this week? Bootsy Collins. So if you like old school black music chatter, you'll love On the Groove Line. Also, I have an after hours podcast that is on my Patreon, the Overnight Scenario. There, I thought I had the link ready for that. I don't have the link ready for that. Let me get the link ready for that. The Overnight Scenario is where I talk about, again, after hours stuff, dating, romance. What's the word I'm looking for? Adult. It's an adult themed podcast. I will leave it at that. Why can't this doggone? Oh, this is so annoying. I'm sorry, guys. This is live television. You know how we get down. All right, I'll just type it in, because for some strange reason this cut and paste will not work it the way I want to work. But yeah, the Overnight Scenario, that is my after hours podcast. where I talk about dating, romance, and all things adult behavior. You can check me out there on the Patreon link. It is $1 to sign up. It's $1 a month. You get podcasts, you get my creative writing stuff, and just check your boy out. You'll be glad you did. Yes, Brandon Cyrus. That's basically what I'm trying to get around to. That's basically what I was trying to say. But yeah, if you're interested in that sort of chatter, you can check out the overnight scenario. I usually put one up every Wednesday night because it's hump night. What else is new? And you can go to the Patreon and sign up for that for $1 a month. So yes, now that I have officially advertised everything that I want to advertise, thank you guys for watching the MEAC More. Once again, Jared Hoffman, Better Than Less Than podcast tomorrow. HBCU Live on HBCU Sports Live on Friday. Looking forward to chatting with y'all once again. So until the next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy the football this weekend. We gone.